I'm going to show you a couple of practical ways to turn that horizontal footage you shot for clients into vertical social clips that actually look intentional, not just awkwardly cropped leftovers. I shoot most of my stuff in 4K for almost everything that needs to live in an archive or might be reused later, giving you way more flexibility for crops and pans without losing quality in the HD delivery. Yes, this is heavier on storage, and your machine needs more grunt to handle it. But honestly, that's a trade I include in client quotes because the reuse value is genuinely real. That said, if you're on a slow laptop, don't freak out because proxies are absolutely your friend. You make low-resolution proxies, edit happily, and then relink to the originals for the final export. It's not glamorous, but it saves a ton of time and frustration. All right, let's dive into the workflow. Imagining you have one master timeline with mixed camera and drone footage, basically a grab bag of clips from a day. What I usually do first is duplicate that master sequence and rename the copy something obvious like master vertical, so my wide and vertical timelines both exist without overwriting anything. Then I open the new sequence and go straight to sequence settings, because if your master is 16.9, flipping those numbers to force a 9:16 frame often causes problems. The problem is that the source clip height might not fill the vertical frame, forcing you to scale up and inevitably losing quality. That's why for social repurposing, I usually switch to a vertical timeline sized at 1080 by 1920, which is basically the inverse of standard HD. This target size is plenty crisp for most social platforms and keeps file sizes and the complexity of the edit completely manageable. Once the sequence is set, you'll notice your horizontal clips just sit there dead center, meaning most of them need scaling and repositioning. For a batch of clips shot with similar framing, you will often find a single scale value works across the board, which is a huge time saver. I've found 90% is a pretty good starting point for many of my shots, because it brings the subject nicely into the vertical frame without any noticeable pixelation. You can set that scale on one clip, copy the motion properties like scale and position, and then paste those attributes onto the rest of the clips in the batch. That little trick saves a ton of repetitive fiddling when you have dozens of clips to process. Then it's basically a matter of going clip by clip, nudging the position slightly left or right, so the important subjects stay perfectly in frame. Some clips are winners immediately. Think those wide drone reveals where the main subject sits near the center, and you might not need to touch them. Some others will never work for vertical, because the important action is split across the widescreen frame, so you should delete those or keep them for other uses. Sometimes you'll have a boat or a horse moving left to right, and you can either pan to follow it or split the moment into two distinct cuts, one focusing left, one focusing right. Duplicating a clip and making two clean vertical reframes is a perfectly valid technique that often looks much more intentional than a single awkward crop. Now, if that manual method sounds like a lot of work, there is another route: leveraging automatic reframing features in your software. Most modern editors have an auto-reframe feature that uses motion tracking to keep the focal point inside the vertical frame for you automatically. In a popular editor, you can simply right-click your sequence and choose auto-reframe sequence, letting you pick vertical 9:16 square or any other ratio, or any. The software then creates a new sequence and runs through each clip, analyzing the motion and applying keyframed position and scale to keep the subject centered. Auto-reframe is dope for large projects because it handles the heavy lifting, automatically following a boat across the frame or keeping a person centered while they walk. You can often choose how aggressively the tool reframes, say for slow versus fast motion, and it will spit out a new sequence with everything already applied. But beware, if you've already done detailed scale and position work, auto-reframe can sometimes overwrite that valuable manual effort. The workaround is to nest your clips before running auto-reframe, or simply remove clips that obviously won't work, so the algorithm doesn't waste time on them. Also note that if your clip has two strong focal points that can't both fit into a vertical frame, the tool is forced to pick one. So manual intervention is still sometimes better for your narrative. Another quick tip is that when auto-reframe does its thing on 4K source footage, it often produces a very large vertical canvas because it tries to maintain maximum possible resolution. That's technically great for quality, but since some platforms prefer smaller files, it's easy enough to re-export or downscale that final timeline later, so don't stress too much. Personally, I like to use a hybrid approach: auto-reframe for speed on the bulk of the timeline, followed by manual tweaks for those hero clips where composition really matters. Also, always remove the clips you know won't ever work before running auto-reframe, as this keeps the project tidy and saves significant processing time. Now here's where a tool like Vizard becomes actually useful in this workflow. Think about the most tedious part: finding the best moments in long footage to turn into short vertical clips. You can either slog through hours of footage manually, or you can let a dedicated tool do the heavy lifting for you. Vizard's strength is that it can automatically identify the high-impact moments in a long video, the pieces that are likely to perform well on socials, and turn those into ready-to-post clips. Instead of manually scrubbing for that one great reaction or that epic boat pass, Vizard surfaces those moments for you instantly. But this isn't a pitch where we pretend Vizard replaces all your taste-based decisions. Tools like Premiere's auto-reframe are great for composition, and mobile apps are great for quick edits on the go, but their limitations appear when you need scale and continuity. Many consumer apps don't handle batch processing or large archives well, and scheduling that content is usually a completely manual headache. Some tools are free, but require a ton of hands-on editing later, while others are powerful but expensive and still don't offer an integrated scheduling and calendar workflow. Vizard sits in the middle by automating clip selection, helping you batch create short versions from long-form content, and then letting you schedule it with a built-in content calendar. So after you manually reframe your hero shots or let auto-reframe do a draft, Vizard can ingest the long-form file, extract viral-ready snippets, and queue them for posting based on your preferred cadence. It's a massive time saver because rather than thinking about what to post every day, you just toggle the frequency. And the platform handles the publishing automatically. The content calendar gives you one central place to tweak captions, adjust timings, or move things around before they ever go live to the public. Compare that to using Premiere plus a third-party scheduler, where you still have to manually render each short clip, name it, upload it, and set the schedule individually. CapCut might give you a fantastic vertical edit, but it is certainly not going to manage the publishing across multiple platforms effectively at scale. So Vizard's advantage is in speeding the whole pipeline from long-form source material to a fully published short clip, not just automating the initial reframes. That said, there are definitely trade-offs. The algorithmic extraction isn't perfect, so you will still want to review every auto-generated clip for quality. Sometimes you'll need to tweak that crop or hand-select a clip because the AI didn't quite understand the nuanced context of the moment. But the reality is, for creators juggling multiple platforms and a massive backlog of footage, a tool that handles the first pass of ideation, trimming, and scheduling can cut hours out of your workflow every single week. For a practical example, you've got a 2-hour interview in 4K, and Vizard will scan it, pull out sound bites, laughs, and visual moments, creating extracts ready for your calendar. If you still want to fine-tune the absolute top-performing ones, you can pull those back into Premiere, run auto-reframe for that perfect framing, or apply your custom color grade. It's not about replacing editors. It's fundamentally about accelerating the ideation and distribution loop for all your content. Final notes. Always keep your archive super organized. Store those 4K masters even if you deliver in HD, and label your sequences clearly. Remove unusable clips before running heavy auto processes. And remember, the goal is always to get more life out of your footage without burning out your schedule. If you've tried auto-reframe before and felt it got close but not perfect, definitely give this hybrid workflow a shot for that human polish on the hero shots. If this video helped you out, drop a comment about what tools you're using now and what kind of footage you shoot, and I'll share a few more tailored tips. And finally, if you got value from this breakdown, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll keep making more of these workflow deep dives for you.